clock says 5:30, so we will go ahead and get started. Our minister is here, and we always appreciate our ministers. It's one of those things that without them, technically, we're not supposed to have a prayer. Sometimes we try to bend that a little bit, but we do appreciate it.
It's great, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, gracious and loving Lord, we thank you for the privilege to be able to live in Clinton, and we thank you for this city council meeting. We pray that you be with all those that participate in that process. Give them clear minds and loving hearts as they carry out the work of the city. Lord, we thank you for the great and wonderful privilege to be blessed to be able to live in this place at this time. Thank you for all those that make that a better place, with all of our city workers and our school systems and all the things that are important to our hearts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for we're going to switch it up and let Jason said he did it earlier, so we're going to let him reprise his role.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We do appreciate it. We have several things on the agenda, so we will go ahead and open up the regular meeting of the Clinton Hospital Authority, Clinton Recreational Authority, Clinton Airport Authority, and Clinton Public Works Authority, and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
Trustee Hewland?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. We'll move on to the Solid Waste Authority, and hold on, before we do that, we need to close that those others. I'll entertain how about the back up even farther, city manager?
None of these authorities.
I knew that. We'll go ahead and close this one up, entertain a motion to back up once again. I'm trying to get through this quickly. If you have any subjects that are under these authorities, that will relate to these authorities, this is your audience participation portion. You're welcome to stand up. We will have some sections later on under the city meeting. We'll have an open forum for any discussion, but if you have something related to the hospital authority, the recreational authority, the airport authority, or the public works authority, this would be your opportunity to bring that forward to the council. Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn these meetings.
Second.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Hewland?
Yes.
Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes, we'll open up the solid waste authority and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Trustee Hewland?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes, we have a presentation of the Public Trash Services, so we will minimize this. I think that you guys control. Steve, turn it over.
Well, I'd like to introduce some folks from Public Services. I think we got Sean Steve and Tracy Crawford and Kerry Miller, and then also Roscoe. I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name, Roscoe. Dorsey. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Before I would just say, before that, one of the goals when I came to Clinton was to look at some things, make services better for our citizens. And I think recycling is one of those services we want to try to offer. So I've been having some conversations with Republic, and they've got some thoughts and ideas that I think are worth us exploring, and hopefully we'll get some good feedback from you tonight, and we'll see where we go from here. So I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Hi, how's everyone?
Good.
Again, like Steve said, I'm Carrie with Republic Services. Of course, just a little, again, Steve did a little brief introduction for us. This is our general manager, Sean Steves, Roscoe Dorsey. He is our operations manager in Western Oklahoma, and then Tracy Crawford. She is our sales manager. So I guess I just want to kind of start out with what I want to do is kind of formally talk about Republic Services expanding on the current relationship that we have. It's a 20-year plus relationship that we have, and you definitely like to, our slide presentation is just going to kind of touch base on a lot of bullet points of what we would like to do and where we see this relationship going. So forgive me if I mess this up. Trustworthy partner to Clinton for over 20 years as one of the most highly regarded environmental waste and recycling service companies in the United States, Republic Services understands that environmental competence, trust, and commitment are paramount to developing long-term relationships with a critical whether you are selling a business, evaluating privatization for your municipality, or wish to join forces on a special project, you can be assured that we are a trustworthy partner. Republic Services is nationwide. We have national capabilities throughout. We are a leading provider of solid waste and recycling services, 22,000 low-emission vehicles, 31,000 employees, over 193 landfills, 204 transfer stations, 348 hauling operations, and 76 recycling facilities. We actually just opened in San Jose, California this past month, the largest MRF in the world, so we're kind of proud of that. So, some of the environmental sustainability efforts with Republic, we have more than 1,000 alternative fuel trucks in our fleet, including nearly 650 compressed natural gas trucks, 76 recycling facilities, more than 3 million tons recycled annually, renewable energy provided for more than 393,000 homes, the nation's only landfill solar energy cover, 73 landfill gas and renewable energy projects, an environmental benefit equaling to removing 3.9 million cars from the road. As you can see here, we have several different partnerships that we have established in Western Oklahoma, market specifically, as well as all of Oklahoma and nationwide. We serve more than 2,800 municipalities nationwide. Some of the ones locally that you guys, of course, neighboring would be Weatherford, Cordell, Custer, Thomas. Those are just a few of those neighboring municipalities that we have. Some of the objectives that we have for the city for this to expand on our relationship: pleasing town appearance, lower wholesale residential cost, quality, reliability, safety, new trucks and commercial containers, revenue generation for the town, recycling options, partnership and collaboration, and improving on your sustainability plan. Some of the benefits to forming this partnership for the privatization, a big one that is always a big standout is the RSG, which is Republic Services, constructs and assumes all the risks. So that's one of the big benefits that a lot of the cities consider when making this change and forming partnerships with us. Today, more than ever, municipalities and county governments are realizing the benefits of creating public-private partnerships. More than 80% of all the cities outsource some or all of their waste and recycling to private garbage companies like Republic Services. Through public-private partnerships, Republic Services delivers waste and recycling services to municipalities and governments in the most effective, most cost-effective, and environmentally sound manner. Some of the benefits to the city would be lower costs, better quality, greater efficiency, and risk mitigation. This, of course, reduces risk and liabilities for the city. And on the next slide, it kind of shows what the current service, some of the containers that are located throughout the city. The city currently utilizes the current service receptacle. And then down below, you'll see the brand new container that we would provide for the city. Automated trucks, safe for drivers, state-of-the-art, low emissions, sealed to prevent leaks, keeps costs low for the consumers. Onto the carts. As you can see, the carts, they're they have a clean look, easy to move, less animal issues, sturdy design. They're all 95-gallon capacity, and as well, the recycling containers would look just the same. They have a green lid, though, to distinguish the two. So, again, at the next slide is just a little brief picture again of the carts. Now, next, I'm going to turn it over to Sean to kind of talk more in regards to the recycling program and the transcyclery. So,
I have a quick you're gonna take over the entire trash offer, including pick up trash at my house and all? That wasn't clear to me, but that's,
Yes, you are correct.
Sean, are you gonna talk about this, a bit to make this happen? What needs to go forward?
What we're proposing to do is, we have a transfer station obviously in town, that's where you guys dispose of your waste. We also have a transfer station in Weatherford. So to make this work and to make you guys save some money, generate some revenue for the city, what we propose to do is, it'd be the first in Oklahoma, and I don't think there's one in Texas either, but we want to convert the transfer station to what we call a transcyclery. That's a hybrid term between the word transfer and recyclery. So what we do, we would dump only recycling at that location, and then we would transfer it to Oklahoma City, the processing facility. So to make all this work, we would haul the trash, we pay the Weatherford, recycling only in Clinton. And what that does for you, Clinton's the hub city, correct? So what this does is Clinton would then be the hub of recycling for all of western Oklahoma. There's no real, there's a small nonprofit that does some sorting in Weatherford, but what this would do, this would allow you to have just a robust commercial, industrial, residential recycling program. It's a, it'll be something that your economic development teams can use as a selling point when they're trying to relocate businesses here, any factories. Virtually every Fortune 500 company has a sustainability plan, and that could be a real selling point. When you have a company that's choosing to locate in a town, and you have the infrastructure set up so they can move large amounts of cardboard or plastic if they're a manufacturer, that could very well be the selling point between Weatherford, Elton City, or Clinton, because you will have that infrastructure. And it's kind of a first to market thing. Usually when there is a facility like this locally, you don't generally see somebody going out and building one right next to it. The scale is there. And it works really good because of the other transfer station nearby. Steve and I have had some candid conversations, and with all things being equal, Republic wouldn't invest $1 million for a transfer station just for recycling. But luckily, since we have two in the area, we've been able to make the numbers work on our end, that we can just convert that building to recycling only, and then haul it via. It doesn't make sense to haul just a recycling truck full of recycling all the way to Oklahoma City. You would never get your cost down low enough where the city could afford to offer to the residents. But when you're taking it via tractor trailer and you get some compaction in there, that's a game changer. So in order to have that infrastructure, it's kind of tough just to build that from scratch. And we already went through that process. We would not be able to put that capital into that. But because of the unique situation of two transfer stations being this close, we've made it work on our end to where we can just shift the trash to one, all the recycling. You guys went out, you have the recycling, the hub, and that'll generate just down the road for you guys. The sky's the limit and what we can do with this place. We can see within 2 or 3 years creating 4 to 6 jobs as the volumes increase, because we would be wanting to bring it in from other areas. That'll be good. That'll be good to the city. We'll have to have truck drivers, truck to Oklahoma City. I'm going to pass it back to Carrie.
I got a quick question for you. I think maybe some other people do. When you say single stream, you talk about Weatherford and Clinton. Would the trash go to the transfer station in Clinton and be sorted through, and then the garbage would go on to Weatherford? Or, I mean, how's kind of a...
When I say single stream, I mean single stream recycling.
Okay.
To where that term means you don't have to, a lot of cities, like Oklahoma City, for example, they have an 18-gallon bin, and you have to put paper on one side and your glass and plastic and aluminum on the other side. This, you put it in a 95-gallon cart. It all goes in one truck. The truck doesn't have to have compartments. It goes to the transfer station where it's shipped via tractor trailer to Oklahoma City for recycling.
So basically, to make sure I understand, you've got that, when we were talking about the green top and
Right.
the other top, the green top would be for papers and plastics
Right.
and things like, okay.
So each house will have a 95-gallon cart, would have a blue lid for trash, green lid for recycling. And with the 95-gallon cart, you can take more recyclables. You can take cardboard. In those 18-gallon bins, you can't take cardboard. And what we found out through offering recycling programs for 25 plus years is that you have to make it easy for the resident or they won't use it. So if you let them throw it all in one 95-gallon cart, overnight, what we found out, we've took cities that had 18-gallon carts and switched them to 18-gallon bins and switched them to carts. And we went from participation from 15% to 75% overnight. We've tucked cities where you had 0 curbside services and you go straight to carts, and it's the same. You're gonna be looking at 60 to 75% participation.
I have a question. The city of Weatherford has a contract with you for their, do they own the transfer station, or is that something that you own?
We own that transfer.
You own.
Yes.
That's for our trash, we will keep the recycling, we will be collecting ours.
Right. What we would actually do, we would have a box, like a roll-off container like you have out the window here. That way, if somebody, if they forgot to set it out, or they wanted to get rid of a couch or a love seat or something, they can still bring it to the transfer station. But what we're talking about doing is just changing the way of thinking, just flipping it upside down. Instead of this giant building full of trash and a little box for recycling like we have on the edge of town, let's do it the other way. The big building now will be holding nothing but recycling, and we'll have a 20 or 30 yard open side for your trash. So it's gonna take some education, but that's what we're gonna show you in the remaining of our slideshow. We have some ideas and thoughts of how we educate the citizens. And again, like when we started off the presentation, this is a public-private partnership. It's not gonna work if we're just all in for recycling, or only if you're all in for recycling. We as a team have to be all in. And then it's a continuous education for the resident.
Any questions for Mayor? We reserve the right to revisit the question.
Before we get done, we're gonna
No,
wrap
sir.
it up. You have all 4 of us.
That's
You can
great.
answer operational questions.
Go ahead.
We're prepared for as long as it takes, so.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
And I just have a few more slides to go over, so I'll be quick.
Oh, you're fine. It's one of those things I think most of the kids in our generation, behind us, our grandkids, are, they know about conservation, which is going to get there without some form of trash, the conservation.
Yeah, most definitely, and it's there, I know a lot of the schools in our, community around Oklahoma City, they're reaching out, to us for different program, resources, and it's amazing how much, they're learning about it now. But some of the community education initiatives that we would do, and of course, we could do pictures on the carts, the recycling for the lids that show either a list of stuff that could be disposed of as far as the recyclables, or actual pictures, either or. Recycle initiatives for residential, commercial, new technologies, research and development programs, Recycle Rosie or garbage gut school education programs that we could implement for all of the Clinton schools, public education programs, so any any meetings or anything that we could be of assistance to to hold educating classes for any citizens, we definitely would do so. The community partnerships and involvement, participate in community events, membership in the Chamber of Commerce, collaboration in any community cleanup events, partnership in any special events that the community is holding, support of local youth by team sponsorships. And so the next is just kind of a brief thing to go into about some of the benefits again to the city of Clinton, the continuity of services, one-stop problem solving, the ability to adjust to population, and resources. The city would see increase in revenues, preserve the city's capital expenditures, reduce risks and liabilities, access new technologies, provide feasible residential and commercial waste and recycling programs. On the next, just some additional benefits. Utilizing Republic Services, the city of Clinton would save in worker comp claims, insurance, wages and benefits, maintenance costs, capital expenses, and your overall liability. The next slide, you'll have to forgive me, it's just a kind of a brief duplicate, so just to touch base again on some of the programs that we could offer to the city for education. And the last couple of slides have to do with employee benefits. This is basically what Republic Services would offer to any employees that we would bring on as a result in this public-private partnership. Some of the employee benefits what we would offer is we have a great compensation plan, a 401k plan, employee stock purchase plan, automobile purchase discount, employee assistance program, cafeteria style plan, dental, vision, short and long-term disability, life insurance, and health and daycare flex spending accounts. So, I mean, the benefits definitely are a plus. I know that our company does offer really good benefits, so that would be great for whoever we would bring on as far as drivers or anything as such. The employee transition plan, any employee who is willing to work for Republic and met our criteria for hiring, we would bring on. And overall, we would love to serve the city of Clinton and to expand on the current relationship that we have. We would love to bring on the recycling, the curbside recycling, as well as, walk hand in hand with you guys in the transcyclery and kind of stepping it up to the next level in western Oklahoma. And you guys would sure be, as far as with all of the, Weatherford and Elk City, I know that those would all be to follow. So we're really excited about this plan and hope that you guys are open to discussing more. So Sean, Tracy, and Roscoe, of course, we're all available for any questions that you guys might have.
I've got one, and it's not a huge question, but I've got one of the big dumpsters you showed, for more like a business, behind my business.
Yes.
Would there be a 95-gallon dumpster there also for recyclables when it comes to commercial, or?
No, for the commercial, for the businesses, we would go in and kind of do a mini waste audit and see exactly what size they would need, and we would set a commercial size for the recycling.
Do you all have any plans down the road? I mean, I can see how, if you're going to start in Clinton, at some point, you get to incur the costs of Weatherford having 2 dumpsters and talking to them about, is that something that Republic is going to move forward with, assuming the interest is in some of these other communities? Is that what you envision?
In terms of offering the same kind of program to a Weatherford or to an Elk City? Yes, we would. We would want to maximize the transcyclery and transfer as much recycling as possible. So yeah, it'd be just the start with you guys, so it could be like I said, you guys will definitely be the hub, and as we grow, we would create jobs and invest in the facility, that's for sure.
Steve, how many employees do we have working in this department?
We've got 5 at this point that are working, and I think part of this, which obviously is a transition, is they need those employees. And in fact, I mean, I think I've already looked at their pay scale. They pay better than the city of Clinton already. I think, Sean, can you talk a little bit more about that? About to make this work, this white trash is also involved in this conversation, not just recycling. You can go into that a little bit more.
Right. The real selling point for my corporate office, in order to, we're already talking, I think it's $1.5 million just in capital for the new trucks to run the routes and for the new containers and the new carts, the extra cart for recycling. Like I said, we had a candid conversation with Steve. The plan really doesn't work without all the components. The trash has to go to Weatherford. We have to have a building for recycling. An automated truck fully compacted with residential recycling usually only weighs about 5 tons. So if you're going to drive that all the way to Oklahoma City, you can see how the cost is 5 tons in a recycling truck or 15 tons in a transfer trailer. The capital request from us, it works from our corporate office to meet our returns, and we have to negotiate the length of the contract to make sure it jives. But if we don't do the trash, then we can't do the recycling. If we don't do the recycling, we can't do the trash. So it's truly an all-in. There are some cities where it just doesn't make sense. It's too far away to run a recycling route. And you'll see companies like us, to be honest, will come in and we'll just bid on the trash. That's not the case. In this actual example, we have to have all pieces of the puzzle. The commercial trash and recycling, residential waste and recycling, and then we transfer it. We shift it to Weatherford, and then everybody wins. So it's not really you can't really piece it apart, and make it work.
Well, how much longer, and, you know, and I certainly support recycling, but we also have to ask questions. How much longer does our contract with you go on our trash? We renew that contract every 5 years.
I think we just renewed last year.
It's got, it'll be, yeah, we just renewed, it started over July 1, I believe, so it should have 5 years left on it.
5 years.
Yeah, about 4.5 approximately.
But you're saying that it will not increase the cost to the citizens of Clinton to have, like on the bill we send out, it will not increase the cost to the citizens for what we're charging them for garbage?
We can say we're in the very early stages of this. So to come out and say, well, we wouldn't actually charge the residents, you guys would
I
charge.
know,
the
we'll do
residents.
the charging, but you'll be charging.
Right,
I know
we've made the numbers work with shifting the trash to Weatherford and utilizing the asset we have here all for recycling. We've made the numbers work where we can charge you the same amount and just take on, you know, with just, it's all, like I said, it's kind of tricky, but we could show you some numbers.
Because I noticed we just approved a claim for $47,235.83 to you all for, I think, last month. It wouldn't be any higher if we do this. Actually, it could be less if
Yes.
you're charging us by the ton, assuming we have recyclables.
Well, we'd redo the contract. I mean, we'd have to redo the trash contract to mesh in a recycling contract with that. So it actually changed the entire contract. But our goal was to try to, if we can offer recycling without increasing our cost to our citizens, that's a win-win for everyone. We increase services without increasing costs. That's our goal here if the council likes the direction. But it would take a complete turnover in operations, which is different, obviously, giving everything to Republic, and would take us out of the trash business.
But they will buy our equipment.
Buy our equipment. Yep. You want to talk about a little bit of that?
We have an arrangement to sell, be through a third party because we were going to buy all new trucks. So a third party, that the same company we sell our trucks to when we have surplus trucks. Your trucks, your commercial containers, and your residential carts, we would broker that with you. We facilitate all that. The roll-off containers, Republic would actually purchase. We would still use them for all the current customers that use them. So that would free up some space for you guys wherever you're storing containers. You could use that for something else with the city. But I want to go back to the question about the check you write us right now is for disposal only. So that check would get bigger. It would probably actually triple, because what we did, we took the amount of revenue you bring in right now to pick up all the trash. We said, okay, if you gave that to us, can we give you the same service plus recycling?
I follow. I
And
understand.
that's what we came up with. If we shift the trash to whether we can do that.
When you talk about contract, of course, the devil's always in the details, but one thing that I've liked in our contract we've had with you is kind of understanding what we're looking at each year in the way of cost of living, everybody calls it different things. Would that be a component, do you anticipate that would be a component of a new contract such as this, so that if we know X is what it costs, we know X plus whatever would be agreeable between the two parties would be what would be the next year, the following year?
Are you referring to the CPI
Yes,
increase?
ma'am.
Yeah, that would be a definite component.
Yes, that's how we structure all
Yep.
of our contracts. That you would have a cap, you can't pay any more than X.
And you said our 5 employees that we currently have, you know you would want them, how many more immediately would you probably need?
We would need one extra person because now we'd be adding a recycling round. And we would, as long as they have to pass a criminal background check, a federal DOT drug test, and be willing to come over, we'd be more than happy to have them. We received nothing but compliments from your solid waste department, from the quality of service that they perform, so we would love to bring them over.
I know one of the questions that the community will probably always ask is helping those who have a hard time getting their polycarbs to the street. Our staff does a great job of helping folks. Can you talk a little about your customer service and that end of things?
What we normally do in that situation, we ask for a doctor's note, something real simple, this person is disabled or something that prevents them from bringing their cars to the street, and we will do the house side service. That's not a problem.
We have excellent employees. I'm walking out in the morning, I've noticed from time to time, a polycart will be overlooked, the driver will stop, and he will go ahead and pick everything up, and then pick that polycart up. I can't say enough good things about the employees we do all do the same thing.
We would have a provision in the contract for extra items. It's all up to negotiation.
Somebody, heaven forbid, throw an old sofa in an alley, how are we gonna handle that?
Well, I think that kind of becomes part of our public works department. If we continue to do that, we'll be doing some of those work, and, that's an ongoing thing in every city in the country. That'll always still be part of our public works department to deal with those things.
And that's where the box at the transfer station, at the train cyclery now, when you get in the right frame of mind. If you did have something like that, that way you don't have to drive to Weatherford. You can just drive it over to the 30-yard.
Well, I was on the council when we closed our landfill and started with them, and I cannot, we've never had any problem. Our relationship with the city of Clinton always been excellent. As far as I'm concerned.
I would echo that. You guys have been good partners, and a lot of different people we deal with, I wouldn't call them partners, they're vendors, they supply things, but you guys have been partners, because we've had some things over the years that I've been on the council that you've been kind enough to work with us on, and I know, there's been things on your side that we've worked to try to work with you guys on, so Republic has a good reference in this council, we're pleased.
This is one of the areas, trash pickup and all that, in my years on the council, I've had not one complaint ever. We really have done an outstanding job of taking care of the citizens when it comes to trash. And that would be your challenge, is to do as good a job as what we have done on our own. And I guess my other concern, I don't think anybody in the room is against recycling, but till we know what the costs really are, it's gonna be hard for us to really do anything. I think you made a good presentation, and I would be for it, assuming the cost is.
Right. Well, I'd like to, I'm sorry, I
What do
like
you
what I
envision?
heard, but I would like, I wish you would work with our manager and get us more information on actually what their cost is going to be.
What do you envision, Steve, as far as moving forward?
Well, number one, I want to get the feedback to find out, the council likes the concept, understands the concept change from what we previously city, then we'll begin negotiating more of the details. And I think they need that commitment, because before they publicly provide numbers, they need to know the council either is for this, even though they understand, and we all understand that we may end up not doing it, but we need to have that commitment that you feel like the concept is a good concept, and the service that they're gonna hopefully offer will be good for our community. Then we'll have to negotiate things like equipment, the price of little things we're working on is, the city has a lot of trash. And working out some of the details, what are the final numbers going to look like? And then, because we want to pass that on to our community without hopefully raising anything at all, because our goal is not to do that. And then bringing back that information. Having some public meetings is probably going to be important too. Educating the public and trying to answer the questions. I think we want to provide that, maybe scheduling some meetings where the public can answer some of the questions that the public may end up having. By no means was I ever going to ask the council to try to push this through. I think we envisioned it, if we could get something going, early, 2013 would be the goal, to maybe, transfer everything over if everything worked out. But that's kind of what I envision, is bring back more information, more detail, more numbers. And I think between now and that time, you'll get a lot of feedback, and we can hopefully educate the public on what's happening. Could you talk about some of the, go ahead, Don.
Well, I plan on having, I mentioned to the mayor that I plan on having a board meeting to discuss water issues, but I might put it off until we have, I think we need a little bit more information on cost.
Sure.
We want to
things too. We've tried recycling here in the past. Now, I'm not saying we've done it right, we probably haven't. But we sure are gonna have to find a way to get the public to participate or it won't succeed. And that's why these education is gonna be extremely important.
You want to talk about the national campaign, about what this may do, or about our community?
This, it's gonna bring some notoriety in a good way, being the first train cycler in the state. I wanna go back and just thank you for the kind words about our partnership, and that's why we chose you guys. We sat down, we said, who do we have the strongest partnership with to roll out? This will be our first single stream recycling route in the state of Oklahoma. That's why we chose, and all the stars were aligned with, like I said, with the transfer station. So we said, you know what, this would be really neat. We have the asset, let's do something with it. And like I said, the stars were aligned, and it worked out. It took us, we've been working on this for a couple months actually. But we were able to dial it down to make financial sense to get the investment, and it has been approved by our corporate office. And the amount of money we're talking has to be approved by our board of directors actually, and they only meet, like every 2 or 3 months. So they've seen it, they've talked about you guys in Phoenix, Arizona, and they said, Clinton, Oklahoma is a place we want to put some money.
I would just say, I know when we did the Severn Trent contract, the people that live here, I live here, the people that pick my garbage up are my friends. I mean, they're people I know. They're not only people that work for the city. And one of the things we were concerned about that I think has really worked out well for the folks that went with Severn Trent is they've got a lot of opportunity, got a lot of training, and the national, worldwide in that case, they had a lot of things going for them that Clinton, Oklahoma just can't duplicate. So I think that contract and partnership we had with Severn Trent has made me feel a whole lot more comfortable about a nationwide company picking up our employees, and especially in today's world where you need good employees. So it's not like there's a number of people standing on the sidelines waiting to go to work in filled positions.
That's why we'd love to have the same guys picking it up. A wise man once told me, he said, it's not a company doesn't provide job security, it's satisfied customers. So who better to satisfy the customers other than the citizens who live and work here? It just makes perfect sense to us.
Okay, well, I've got good feedback, and we'll begin to crunch some numbers with the Republic and bring something back in a couple weeks and continue this conversation. And I really appreciate the council being so open, because obviously I think recycling is a very important thing in our environment as we deal with some things in the future. So, and obviously we always talk about, I hear this a lot, I guess I'm on a soapbox a little bit here, but I hear a lot that we want to be number one of the 3. This would put us way above the others in our region, and I like that in a positive way.
I want to say a couple of things. I think that recycling is a great tool to involve the community. It creates a sense of you're doing a good job for your community and for the environment. And I think you would be, Bob made a comment earlier that we tried some of these things before, maybe we didn't do the right way, wrong way, whatever it is, but I think setting a designated collection container out, nobody having to separate any of that, I think you would see a dramatic increase in the recyclables. And Clinton need, for sure.
You're right.
I think your education is,
And that's the exciting thing about the single stream is it's, the easier it is, and the more simple, the more, participation we'll have from the community. So I feel that it's pretty.
I do have one more of the questions. The single stream, is it based on the fact that we're going to have 2 dumpsters, one for white trash, what the stuff that's non-recyclable, and then the stuff that is recyclable? Single stream, is that not all of it in one container?
No, single stream is actually a recycling term. There's 2 ways to offer curbside recycling. One's dual stream, which is what happens in the city of Oklahoma City. It's a smaller bin, and the resident has to keep paper on one side of the bin and everything else on the other side. And then when the driver picks it up, there's actually, if you've ever seen one of the trucks, I can email you some pictures. There's there's two compartments. He puts the newspapers in one and everything else in another one. So it's in two streams when it goes to the recycling facility. That's the old way to sort recycling. It's inefficient, you don't recover as much material. What single stream recycling means, you put your newspaper, office paper, magazines, aluminum cans, tin cans, plastic, glass, you put it all in the 95-gallon cart. The automated truck dumps it. It goes into the tractor trailer, then it goes to the recycling facility, and it's sorted in newer machinery, and they can recover almost, it depends on the municipality, but usually 5 or 10% more recycling will be recovered.
Would it be safe to say then at that point, since you're separating the recyclables from the other trash, would the routes still be run the same day because you're going to have a less amount of ordinary trash, banana peels, all that kind of thing? You're gonna have a less amount of that. Are we still gonna have a route run every day or every week for both items?
That's a great question. What we actually do, we pick up the recycling every other week. So if your pickup day for trash is on Monday, your recycling will be Monday. It would be an even or odd week, or sometimes referred to as A and B. And when we kick off the program, we give everybody, it's a refrigerator magnet, and it has your week listed, so you'll remember. And then each year, we send one out in the mail, so it's know what the week is.
Trash is picked up every week and recycled every other.
Council, let me give you an example. When we did this in Greensburg, we turned this over, and at my house, in the company that came in and told us, hey, typically you'll see 40% of your community get involved in recycling. Well, I can tell you, within 6 months, 80% of the community did, because basically all we're throwing in our trash bin is food waste and styrofoam. Everything else I put, all the cereal boxes and the milk jugs, me and my son were evenings, all that stuff went in there, and I needed 2 recycling bins. We had so much recycling, and I would dump my trash once a month at that point. That was a huge impact to our landfill, but we own the landfill. We don't own the landfill here, but that doesn't mean we don't have a part to play. So you'll see a tremendous amount. Jason makes a great point. People will get involved. It's easy, and when it's easy, we can all do it. I'm selling it for you, but I really am positive on this. This will be good for our community. Thank you. We'll bring back the information some more, and I appreciate it. So
And we'll be in touch with Steve tomorrow, and we'll start getting the numbers together, something that's, easy to look at.
Appreciate y'all being here, and appreciate the time and the questions being answered. It's always nice. It's an uncharted area, so it's nice to have people you can look at and ask questions as opposed to somebody sending you down what the policy is. We appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks for having us.
I'll tell you what, if you guys don't mind, does anyone in the audience have a question? This is kind of an unusual situation, but normally we give people in the audience a chance to ask questions if there are any. This is probably, I'm sure you guys are going to load and go if you want to get home. So are there any questions from anyone in the audience related to what we just talked about? Well, I'm
I
sure
think
we'll let-
I lived in Oklahoma City and I thought recycling was super. I moved up here and I said, what I do with so and so, well, you just put it all in one end and go put it in the dumpster. I was flabbergasted. I thought, good gosh, this is ridiculous. It's easy to put your milk container here and your banana peel over there.
It makes you feel guilty throwing all of that away, doesn't it? You
Oh,
don't have the recycling portion?
If you don't cook it like I do all the time, you've got a lot to go and recycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
The equipment that you're gonna purchase, who's determining the value of those poly carts and the trucks? Where's that number gonna come out of?
That number will come from the third-party company that we work with. It's fair market value. If the truck's past a certain age, it's basically a scrap value. It's an industry standard. If it, I think a couple of the trucks, they came in pretty high. They were in 6 figures what they're worth. So I think all in, it's several $100,000 what we've come up with.
I like that because we had a deal 9 years ago. We were just exploring not at all this. There was no recycling, and one of the problems we had was trying to get to a number. So I like the fact it's a third party that's more arm's length because it looks good. Questions from anyone else in the audience?
I would like to ask these people that put on this nice presentation here, is this Republic Corporation subsidized in any way from state or federal governments for this type of a program?
No, we are not.
Might not think it has a name, it's like six.
But there are beneficial programs that the city could apply for grants for recycling, for education efforts and whatnot. But Republic as a company, we do not receive any kind of help from the state or federal government to go out and start a recycling program.
So basically, it's just you put less in the landfill, it costs you less money, therefore it's a financial plus, so it's overall positive to work out. The more people you add to it, the better it'll be.
Plus, the recyclables are worth a lot. Wouldn't they, the increase you're going to be getting, you can sell those recyclables and maybe.
They are a commodity, that is correct. Funny you should say that, just last month they took a big drop, but past couple of years they've been pretty steady.
Of course, that's gonna be one of the things we'll be.
Yeah.
That'd be something to negotiate in the contract,
Yeah.
what you guys would share. And to make it really work, we have to incentivize the town. So in order for you to get out there and push the education, you know, you have to know that you're gonna receive something for volume increase.
Right.
Any other questions?
I think the willingness of the citizens to do something like this is obvious when you look at the newspaper bins that have been set up at the schools around town and how those things are overflowing quite rapidly.
There are a lot of things, I think this is probably one, I talked with Steve before he decided to make the decision, and I was excited about what they did, but there are things you can do green, burn natural gas in your vehicle, it's cooler, cleaner, and it makes sense. And if you can get to it financially, which this is easy, you just got two things to put things into. So I think that what you touch on, the ease of putting it in there is the key. I know Matt Grable put together the long green bin that had plastics and paper, and it floated around town for a while, and it's just not easy, so that was a limited use. Any other questions from anyone in the audience? Not seeing any, I'll let you guys go. We appreciate y'all being here. Thank you. Look forward to talking to you again. Drive safe.
Thank you.
Steve will go through these.
Yeah.
What's that?
Next item, city manager's report for the solid waste authority.
I have nothing further in solid waste.
Any audience participation in solid waste? This will be your opportunity under solid waste. We'll have one for city council for general questions here in just a little while. Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the solid waste authority.
Second.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Hulen?
Yes.
Trustee Randolph?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. And Chairman?
Yes. Moving forward, open up the regular meeting of the Clinton Industrial Authority and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Some of the.
Trustee Hulen?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Randolph?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. And Chairman?
Yes. Have one action item under this. It's actually not an action item, it's the city manager's report, so we'll move on straight to that. A Robinson additional code updates.
Yeah, council, Ryan got this to me, and we've been working on this and tried to get it before the package went out, but didn't make it. But we got a copy of some covenants we have drafted, like you to review those. It's kind of a combination of things between like sites, acres, and the riverside location out there on the golf course. So I think it's a good start. Need your feedback. I'll have it as an agenda item in a couple of weeks, but if you have any feedback, let me know. But I wanted to get this to you so you can begin reviewing. Talked to Joe Ridley last week, and we're continuing on with the construction documents as well. So this is moving finally, and we hope to get information back to you in a couple more weeks. But look at those, let me know if you have any questions or make any recommendations, and I'll have it on as an agenda item for approval in 2 weeks.
questions, council, on this item? Audience participation under the Industrial Authority. Once again, this is your opportunity under the Industrial Authority to ask a question related to this authority. We will have a general item later in this. Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the Industrial Authority.
So moved. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy? Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
Trustee Huber?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Moving on to the regular meeting of the Clinton City Council, we'll open it up and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy? Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rudolph?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. We have one action item, and actually I clicked on it. Consider request of Grayson Bottom for early retirement pension through Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund. Steve, you want to give us an overview? I know we had one in our packet.
Grayson is requesting an early retirement, which he would not typically be eligible until he turns 65. He's at 2014. He'd like to opt out early. It takes council approval to do so.
Does this cost us more money in any shape or form, or why would we want to do this? Yeah. I mean,
It doesn't cost you any money. I mean, eventually, he's been in the system prior to this. You would do it simply to help him out.
and it cost us nothing.
There's no cost. The money vested is already in there for the city already.
We've ever done this before?
Yes.
You've done it with some issues. Since I've been here, we had a work comp issue, forced retirement. That was our extenuating circumstance. I do not.
There's also, if they opt to take the option where they take a lump sum, the council has to,
Okay. Yes, lump
consider
sum,
that.
yeah.
He didn't want lump sum, did he?
No.
No.
Deborah, what's the downside of this?
I really don't know. Our municipal retirement fund, manages that fund, and we have good coverage on our fund. It's funded. We have a percentage that we contribute. I don't know that his withdrawal of his monies would affect that. I think the OMRF would have let us know if it would have in that sense.
But what if we have other employees that start retiring and want to get their money
Now.
early? Is that gonna affect our?
If you had a large number that did that, yes, it could possibly affect
We
you.
had 4, 5, 6 employees that wanted to retire early, and that would, but you do set a precedence, I will say that. But in the past, I couldn't tell you how many you've done, but except for special circumstances.
And it's 2 more years till he can automatically withdraw it without our approval.
65 is the age.
Let me do this, I'm not sure, I saw this and didn't have a chance. If we can, let's table this, and let me talk to Grayson and see if there's any reason. Because if there's a reason, it might change our attitude. I mean, it's a precedent, so it does, I agree, it sets a precedent. Although the money put aside for him has been done, he's not adding to it, we're not adding to it. I think the precedent point that you're making is the most important here. But if there's also something personal that I haven't talked to Grayson in a couple of months, and we didn't talk, passing talk, we didn't talk family matters or anything like that, so realizing we're laundering things in the public, but he's worked in the public, so he knows how that works.
Well, I agree, I don't have a problem. My major concern is that if we do this now, and then we have 4 or 5 employees that retire early and want to.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, yes, I would say yes, and that's why, I think the ones that I can remember are the special situations where someone had a situation where they had a valid need. So if you don't mind, I can touch base with him and see.
Employees have the ability to retire early if they've completed 30 years of service and they're at 62. Pardon me?
30 years of service and 62 years of age.
I thought you could retire before that, even if you were younger than that.
And leave it vested.
And leave it vested, okay. So, he's at 62.
He's 62.
But he's staying employed.
He's 60.
He's not leaving
60.
employment, he's staying.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there possibly isn't, if UConn
They have a
is.
different
Yeah.
plan.
Different plan.
So he's
I
got
think-
money in this
I
plan.
read that in the paper.
Yeah.
Well,
But I did.
that part I didn't read in the paper. That was something I pulled out of the back of my head. So my guess is probably that it's like a lot of people. When I left Chevron, I took my money that I had. In this case, you know, that was my money, not what the company had matched.
Right.
It's sitting there for when I become old and gray at 65. And so I will check with him. I have a motion to table this and a second.
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. And I agree. We don't want to set a precedent, in my opinion, unless there is a valid need, because it can't open the floodgates of. Let's go ahead and back out of this. And that was our action item, city manager's report for the city of Clinton.
All right, council, I've got a couple items here. One would be a water update. I got a little information from Jeremy today. We're still waiting for a test kit for this well on Haggard Road. And fortunately, he told me once we get that, we're gonna be between 3 and 6 weeks to get all the testing back in that particular well. So unfortunately, hopefully in October, we'll have some more information on the quality of that well, and then we'll move forward from there. I was hoping to have, I misunderstood, I would have the information in a couple of weeks, waiting for the test kit to get here. Now we're hopefully in 3 or 6 weeks, the test will be back in our
We need
hands.
to get 4 or 5 test kits.
Yeah, we're getting a few, so, and so we'll be prepared for the two wells and the location of testing. Stephen Jones is going to he's contacting AW Pool, and we're going to be looking at those wells that Burns Flat, bring those back online, or the casing, or a new one beside it. We're working on that as well, and that'll take some time. That continues on. So anyway, that's a water update for you. A couple other things we're doing. You'll see some rehab. Evening Lions Park has been deteriorated for quite some time. We are cleaning that up. That is going to be kind of a soccer practice area. Going to put some goals out there, clean that up. Parking, you'll see a lot of activity down there, but the baseball field itself had been really deteriorating, and then the ground had been deteriorating. So we're cleaning that up, doing some dirt work, probably planting a little bit of grass seed. Hopefully it'll take, the moisture will come in eventually, but that'll be a nice practice area. Our soccer program has just exploded. It's a good thing. It creates problems in the practice area, so we're cleaning that area up down there, and that'll be a good thing. Still got 9 pavilion, and they'll utilize that and parking as well. Also, we've our junior service playground area at McLean. When I got here, the wrought iron had been taken down. We are actually blocking part of our capital improvements in our playground repairs, blocking that around it to make that a more safe and nicer looking playground area, clean that up. So we're doing some rehab. And I hope to actually coat, do some cleanup for that tennis court basketball area. Again, seeing what a local guy can do for me on that. So we are cleaning our parks up and doing some work in that area. Groundbreaking for the fire station, September 12th, 11 a.m. I hope you can all make it. A real quick ceremony. I've got your hard hats ordered and your shovels ready to go, so 11 a.m. the 12th. And we're looking forward to getting that kicked off, although the project's already started, which it's moving good. Downstairs, police, we hope are in the last 30 to 45 day stretch, probably 30 days for regular work, and we'll be punch listing after that, so we're very close and seeing quite a bit of work going on down there, getting closer. And again, a lot of dirt work, close to rough grade at the fire station, very close. And as soon as that rough grade wraps up, then we'll be doing some utility moving with overhead lines. Stuff. Talked to TSO today, so we're moving, seeing progress continue in that area. OML, if anybody would like to go to OML, 26th and 27th of this month in Oklahoma City, please get with me or Rhonda. We'll get you signed up. Love to have you go. So got a couple staff members for sure go. Love to have you attend as well if you can. And last thing, had the 57th annual MGA, Men's Golf Association, Labor Day tournament, a ton of players out there, and they do a nice job of, it's a revenue maker for them, then they put that back in the course for repairs. I'm gonna work with them on some ways to help some course repairs and improvements. I think we're doing some irrigation things to help out some areas that we've been lacking, and so we appreciate them bringing so many different, 61 teams, so that's a two-member team, so that's 122 players came to town. We appreciate that. So a lot going on, and just a quick update, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Yeah, he's always helping.
It was a good tournament, it was a good turnout. Course was in fantastic condition. A lot of compliments. Teams from Tulsa, Amarillo, we generally even have some people from New Mexico. It's a well-known tournament. Freshman Oklahoma for many years, for 3 days of golf.
I guess this is negative, but I didn't understand the insert in our water bill, exactly what that meant from Foss. They would tell us about some problem in the water, and I didn't really understand.
Yeah, Foss has had some issues with their water, and they're required to give a public notice to us, and so we wanted to make sure to pass that along to our community. They're working on that, and that is a requirement they must do, so we pass that on to you, so you understand it.
We had to do the same thing without.
When we have the same issues, we have to pass that same notice along.
Same thing.
So.
Are they like city?
Yeah, last night was the Water Zoo, kind of, I don't know what you call it, VIP, kind of pre-show, you would call that, but he's really close. He hopefully, it looks like about 2 weeks, he'll be wrapping it up and opening the doors. It looks really good out there. And so that's going to be a huge attraction. He had a lot of people turn out last night, and those who were there, they could witness that themselves with the waterfalls and the slides. It's going to be a really great attraction for our community. So.
Next Monday, the 10th, in Clinton, all day.
Channel 5.
That's right, Channel 5 will be here all day. From Act.
I would like to say too, I appreciate city staff looking at utilizing the Clinton City Pool water.
Yeah.
Even though the logistics didn't work out, that was a great effort on city staff's part.
Well, we continue to try to find ways to utilize that water, be able to help Taz Trucking and their dirt work. And we're still looking at ways, even right now, how we can utilize that water. Try not to waste anything. So we appreciate that. We're trying to do the best we can.
Maybe we'll put it on the fire station ground out there.
Yeah, we've tried to do that throughout the different projects.
Any other questions for the city manager from council?
Is there anything we need, Julie, you need from us, or?
I don't think so. We're ready.
Audience participation. This is the area where you have the ability to bring anything you'd like to before the city council. And if you have anything, you're welcome to just stand up.
I have a question. Is there any way that we can have more animal control on evenings and weekends? Because,
I'm glad you asked that question.
pardon?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Because I'm tired of the dogs going down the alley at midnight and getting in the dumpsters and going down the front alley, down the front. Every Saturday morning, I see the same dog running up the street.
I have just approved, and the chief has brought on a part-time animal control person to do that exact thing, to cover evenings and weekends, because we understand there's a need. If you want to tell the chief after exactly the address, he will pass that along to our new animal control officer, and we will make sure that we are looking for those particular issues. And so, that was a great question, and we are doing some of those things right now.
Thank you.
It was funny, when we had some of our meetings, one of the most common things was there are people who know 5 o'clock Friday that the dog catcher went home.
Right.
And I think that continues on today. So I appreciate Steve addressing that. I know we try to do it the time you can with the funding you've got.
Well,
Appreciate that.
in council, I guess I missed something. Robert McDown resigned as our building inspector. Toby Enders was our code enforcement officer. I have combined that job with inspection. He will take over both jobs. I believe he can do that. That freed up the money to allow us to bring in this part-time animal control officer. So I think we're able to do more with less, and because we have such a great staff, and then they're out working. So the chief and Toby and others, I think, and as well as other staff, we do more with less, and I think we're trying to find more ways to be efficient in those areas. Couple large truck running over the curb over there. Just took out those metal poles.
Any other questions or comments by the audience?
Is this our final deal on all this participation?
Yes, sir. If you have anything, this would be the
Yes, sir, I
time.
certainly do. I want to know, who can tell me, is the city responsible for the weeds, shrubbery, dump stuff that are in our city alleys?
Actually, it is actually the citizens' responsibility to maintain those. We assist in many areas. We try to clean up alleys and do that things, but it's actually the responsibility of the citizen to maintain their easement in the alleyways.
Well, I think in this case where I'm referring to is because they have a wooden fence at the back of their property. What's growing on the alley side, city property, they don't care about it, they don't see it anyway. However, my property and CB Grass property and all that is cleaned up all the way. You take from my property line on the south, and from there south, there's weeds up to my chest behind, in the alley of these locations I'm referring to. I mean, if you have somebody that's interested in coming moving into Clinton, let them drive down some of our alleys. And I blame the city for a lot of this right here.
Well, and we've had
They're
this
just being neglected.
We've had this question before, because I know at different times people have asked, if you have a diamond back there behind fences and there's no access, who's responsible for it? And this question continues, the city cannot mow grass everywhere. What I would suggest is get with Steve afterwards, let him know where it is, and we'll see if we can't put some eyes on it. But, bottom line is, this is Clinton, Oklahoma. I have a responsibility to make sure that my property looks good, and I think the point you're making about it's the neighbor's responsibility for their yard. In most cases, people do a good job and they have great respect for, and even to the point where the diamond we talked about a few years ago was mowed by just an odd one guy out of the group that lived up against that alley, mowed it every time. People didn't know who mowed it. They thought the city mowed it, but it turned out to be one of the citizens that took care of it. So in some cases, the city can't do everything but if there is something like this, maybe we'll talk to them and see if we can get somebody to understand that responsibility.
I think we need to get somebody to go by there and have these people understand they're supposed to be taken care of.
Yeah,
And
let me know the address, I'll have Toby.
I have another point I'd like to bring up, and that is we have a sign east of town that says, no trash dumping or something, fine $200 to $1,000. How come we don't enforce that here in the city of Clinton?
What sign are we talking about?
There's one right out here east of town on the highway,
On 66
on
going,
Old 66, just the other side of Hospital Road.
I would say if we knew about it, we'd probably enforce it. I mean, it's,
Well, either the city put it there or the state, and I presume maybe the state did.
it may be,
But I don't know why they would do it for the city of Clinton.
yeah, if we know about it, I would think we would enforce it. It may not be at that level. I don't know what that fine may relate back to state as opposed to city, with that being business district off of an interstate. But if we know about somebody who dumps, be it, I know how to pick up the phone and call the county. I mean, if it's outside the city limits, there are people, and you know who has done it. We try to enforce something or get it to the right people to enforce it.
I'll probably take time out more to find which city employee or what department I'm supposed to be talking to. But right now, in the alley for my property, I have a city dumpster there. I pay $30 a month for it, and I do good to put one wheel bar full of stuff in it. Right now, there's a big, huge old divan sitting there, couple of pieces of railroad tie been there for 2 or 3 months next to the dumpster. Then you go to the property that's just south of me, and there is all kinds of stuff. I mean, they came in over this weekend, and they do it at night or something, and there's one area there, because all these wood fences on one side, they feel safe by dumping all this stuff on the other side of the alley. And where they're dumping it really is a vacant lot and a vacant house, but they're putting it from property line to the city alley area, along between a dumpster or two that's there. And I mean, it's, I wish somebody just drive down there and look at it, it's unreal.
Well, I would say that's.
And I mean, I'm not no
probably the same
perfectionist,
answer.
and I'm not no
What I would do, I
nitpicker.
would get a hold of the city personnel and see, let them know it's there. Because I know the city guys have been pretty good. For the people I've dealt with, if something gets set out next to a big dumpster, I've had a divan show up next to my dumpster and behind my office. They're pretty good when they know about it. When the guy driving the trash truck may see it, but at the same time, it's easier to call, and then they can schedule somebody to come out and get that out of the way.
Yeah, that's what you just mentioned there, one thing I thought might be a good suggestion, and that is, I know it just takes a pencil and a pad in just a few seconds. If our trash people that are picking up our garbage see this type of condition, why can't they just put a little note down there on it and turn it over to the people that are responsible
They do.
for that department that needs to be
Yeah, we
taken care
move
of?
tons of stuff.
We do a lot. I mean, the issue you say we deal with every day, we deal with all over town. I mean, we talked just what I was telling the council earlier, is we do more with less. And sometimes we don't get everywhere all the time. But Robert and the drivers constantly mark those things down, pass that along to our other staff, and we get it. A lot of times it's a priority thing, and we have to deal with some things. And I've marked it right down. I'll have it in Toby's lap tomorrow morning to look at this particular area. We'll continue to do what we can. I appreciate the information, and anytime those things pop up, let us know. You can call my office directly. I will give the information to my staff, no problem.
I have one other question I just kind of like to get clarified. In the way I understood this presentation tonight, apparently there's going to be more of these polycarts or something in our residential area. Is that right?
The way I understood it, there would be 2 polycarts for what we have 1 polycart now.
For each residence? This city went through a revamp not too long ago, that they took a lot of these big dumpsters off of areas to make the areas look more nice and presentable when people from out of town go down the street. So we had to go to polycarts in the residential areas where you all picked up our big dumpsters. Now then you're telling me, if this goes through, we're gonna have another polycart out there in that area also. Is that right?
That's what it sounds like to me, if that's what we do. I mean, nothing's been decided at this point.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, that's where it's headed.
That's the concept, yeah, because.
My objection is to it already. I have people in my neighborhood that their polycart sits out there 2 or 3 days before it's ever moved back to where it's supposed to be. And then some are dumped over before they're even picked up now too.
That's one thing about their bigger polycarts. Those polycarts also have lock lids, which our polycarts are a little smaller. Our polycarts are probably not as expensive as those polycarts that they're talking about.
Another thing I would like to make an objection to, and I'm sorry for these other people because they won't speak up for things that goes on in this city. Apparently, if this goes through on these polycarts or the bigger dumpsters, they're going to be a different color than what we've got now. You're going to have a beige one behind your place of business, and the way I understand it now, you're going to have a big blue one back there.
No, the beige ones will go away. That's our equipment. The green polycarts you got right now will go away. Then in place, you'll have looks like a blue polycart, which is Republic's colors, and one will be recycling and one will be a trash stream. And then looked like it was a blue metal dumpster will be in place behind businesses and where it's appropriate to have the dumpsters.
According to your need of how much
And then the point I made is if you have a business and you want to recycle, how are they going to handle that? And I think they're going to have to look at it and see how much do you have to recycle, you know. Are you a business that has a lot of cardboard, or are you a business that has a little? And whether or not it's cost effective to put one of those metal dumpsters back there that might be a
You know, I pointed out before at a meeting, we had in our city disposal right down here in East Town, we have a recyclable bin, big one down there now. Myself and Hank and Dorothy Dye is the only people I've ever seen use it, but it's there. And I do not personally think that those people could ever make any money off of recycling
That's the beauty of
material
America.
out of the city of Clinton.
That's the beauty of America. There are a lot of people who can do things that we don't think they can do financially. And I think if you take that stream, that 40%, you don't have to put it in the ground. You're saving 40% of whatever your burial costs are. And if that 40% now has value, I think they're professionals. If they can contract and do that, and I know from looking around and doing a little research, they do that in other areas of the country. So, you know, that may be your opinion, but Republic is a rather large company that didn't get that way by losing money. And the nice thing about what I see when you're talking about it is Clinton would be the center of the recycling. This is an opportunity that will, you know, may pass. If the city decides that we do not wish to take advantage of it, we don't wish to contract with Republic, that's not going to change their mind. I mean, they can flip around and go elsewhere and maybe accomplish the same feat. It's an opportunity for Clinton.
Well, I
As
would
far as
hope,
whether
I would
they're gonna
hope
make
it's a
money or not,
success.
that's not my call. What we can do, what it'll cost us, that's where my concern is. what's
That'd
it
be my
gonna cost.
concern mainly too, is to
Yep.
put out any money from the city of Clinton or the people's utility bill for that program, they're supposed to be funding. We pay our regular fee for our garbage pickup.
Anybody else with anything they'd like to bring up before the council? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas? Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
And
Yes.